Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Government House. My name is Hugh Borrowman. I have the honour to be Official Secretary to Her Excellency the Governor, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies today. Before we get underway, can I please invite you to join me in thanking the Royal Australian Navy Band for their support to us today. This is the third of 6 ceremonies to present Australian honours, most of which were announced on the Queen's birthday in 2022 and which now take place in the shadow of her sad passing. Condolence books are available in the next room should you wish to sign them before you leave. The official party today is Mr the Honourable John Gardiner MP, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Dr James Mookie, the Lieutenant Governor of South Australia, Mr John Fulbrook, MP, the Member for Playford, representing the Premier, Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Robinson, RAN, representing the Commanding Officer, HMAS Encounter, Brigadier Graeme Goodwin, CSC, Army Area Representative South Australia, Air Commodore Ross Bender, Senior Australian Defence Force Officer, Edinburgh, and Commissioner Grant Stevens, APM, Commissioner of Police. If you are able, please be upstanding for the arrival of Her Excellency the Governor. Please remain standing for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute and then for 1 minute's silence.
Gana bogana aia, gana miana aia, yaitchi miana aia, kumatana yartananku. I acknowledge that we're meeting today on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and I pay my respects to the elders. Good morning, everyone. We've just observed a minute's silence in honour and remembrance of our late Queen, Elizabeth II. Elsewhere in Government House, members of the public, many of them coming here for the first time, are signing condolence books. And in the gardens, as you may have seen, there's a growing field of tributes. And of course, one of the things that we remember is Her Majesty's life of service. But she was also dedicated to recognising service in others. And that, of course, is what we are doing today. And it's one of the reasons why the Premier is represented, why the Lieutenant Governor is here, why the Leader of the Opposition is represented, and why the Service Chiefs and Police Commissioner are here today as well. This day, as you know, has a particular significance because we are honouring principally service personnel and also a recipient of the Order of Australia. As you all know, although it's not necessarily known by everyone, awards in the Order of Australia are announced twice yearly, on Australia Day as our national holiday, and since the awards were instituted in 1975, on the Queen's birthday holiday. Recipients of this year's awards will obviously be the last recipients of awards announced in the Queen's birthday honours for what we can only assume, I think, will be a very long time. And of course, these awards are made to recognise outstanding service and exceptional achievement on the part of Australians. It all adds up, I often say, to something quite extraordinary as you hear the citations, including for the ones that you are here to support. You add them all up and it adds up to something quite extraordinary. Extraordinary too because typically the recipients do not seek recognition, and in fact they're often quite surprised, even though they've been given a small amount of warning, to actually see their names on the honours list. So I congratulate today's recipients and I thank you for your outstanding service and your exceptional achievement. To those of you who are here in support, you are obviously here because you are the ones who are loved most or who have most supported and who the recipients want to be here on this very special day. I know that many of you will have been here before, but not all. Rod and I very much regard this as a house for all South Australians, and we want you to feel welcome and comfortable today. Finally, I simply say that these awards are being made today because someone recognised in the recipients exceptional achievement and outstanding service and took the trouble to nominate them. And what I'd like to do to everyone coming to this week's ceremonies, investiture ceremonies, is to encourage you to nominate others. There are many other Australians, including here in South Australia, who are deserving of recognition. Over to you, Official Secretary.
Your Excellency, the following appointment to Officer of the Order of Australia in the General Division has been made. Professor Marnie Hughes-Warrington is recognised for distinguished service to tertiary education and governance as an administrator, leader and mentor. Professor Hughes-Warrington enjoys global academic recognition as a philosopher and historian. Since 2020, she has been the University of South Australia's Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Enterprise. She is also the Chair of the University's Research Leadership Committee, a Non-Executive Director of UniSA Ventures, and sits on the Academic Board. Before coming to Adelaide, Professor Hughes-Warrington held senior academic roles at Monash and Macquarie, and was also the Professor of History and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic at the Australian National University. She also spent 2 years at the University of Washington in Seattle. In 1992, Professor Hughes-Warrington received a Rhodes Scholarship. She is now the Emeritus National Secretary and Deputy Secretary, Rhodes Australia, and sits on the Scholarship Governance Committee of the Rhodes Trust. In 2008, she received a Teaching Excellence Award in Humanities and the Arts from the Australian Learning and Teaching Council and was named a joint winner of the Australian Prime Minister's Award for University Teacher of the Year. Professor Marnie Hughes-Warrington. Your Excellency, the following appointment to Member of the Order of Australia in the Military Division has been made. Commodore Stephen John Tiffin is recognised for significant service in surface ship acquisition and sustainment for the Australian Defence Force. Commodore Tiffin significantly advanced the Australian Defence Force's surface ship acquisition and sustainment capability. Over 10 years of service as a senior leader in defence, he showed distinguished leadership, exceptional program management, and extraordinary political acumen. In a dynamic, complex, and operationally demanding period, Commodore Tiffin demonstrated superior performance, delivering enduring benefits which will underpin the nation's naval construction program for decades to come. He has devoted more than 35 years to serving in the Royal Australian Navy as a marine engineering officer on several Navy ships and in various roles managing fleet support. After starting work in shipbuilding in Adelaide in 2006, Commodore Tiffin is currently Director General at the Naval Construction Branch, responsible for the oversight of the government's naval shipbuilding activities. Commodore Stephen John Tiffin. Your Excellency, the Conspicuous Service Cross has been awarded to the following recipients. Squadron Leader Justin Wayne Hill is recognised for outstanding devotion to duty in AP3C Orion and P8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol Aircraft Maintenance and Engineering Support. Squadron Leader Hill is an extraordinary officer who excelled in AP3C Orion and Poseidon Maritime Patrol Aircraft Maintenance and Engineering in operationally demanding and highly challenging circumstances for more than a decade. At the same time, he built resilient, high-performance teams with high productivity and morale. His exceptional work ethic, effective leadership, and refined technical expertise enabled him to drive broad organisational change and positively influence the maintenance culture of many organisations to significantly improve productivity and overall mission success. Squadron Leader Hill was the Senior Engineering Officer at No. 11 Squadron, RAAF Base Edinburgh, as the squadron increased the number of aircraft and maintenance personnel. He led his large workforce to achieve excellent levels of aircraft availability and levels of maintenance that personnel could deploy to enable air power. Squadron Leader Justin Wayne Hill. Squadron Leader Neale Douglas Thompson is recognised for outstanding achievement in the MQ-4C Triton Long Endurance, High Altitude, Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Capability Development for the Royal Australian Air Force. Squadron Leader Thompson applied superior skill during the test and evaluation of the MQ-4C Triton. He advanced Australia's reputation with the United States Navy, enhanced development of the capability, improved understanding of the utility of the platform, and played a critical role in Defence's acquisition of the system. Senior members of both the United States Navy and Royal Australian Air Force sought out his advice on Triton matters due to his superior knowledge of the weapon's capability, which has been a key factor in the strength of the bilateral relationship and a crucial aspect in the success of the Triton project. His drive and dedication have been inspirational, whilst his accomplishments over several years of conspicuous service have delivered a range of capability advances for Australia and the United States. Squadron Leader Neale Douglas Thompson. Your Excellency, the Distinguished Service Medal has been awarded to the following recipient. Bombardier Michael Richard Cobb is recognised for distinguished leadership in warlike operations as the Australian Counter-Unmanned Aerial Systems Detachment Commander within Headquarters Joint Task Force 633, while deployed to the Middle East region from October 2017 to June 2018. Bombardier Cobb's superior leadership, initiative and technical mastery contributed to the successful operational testing and evaluation of a new unmanned aerial system capability at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. The Australian counter-unmanned aerial systems were then integrated into a coalition environment at the base. His initiative and technical mastery while conducting a trial of the system on board HMAS Warramunga critically informed future operations and subsequent acquisition considerations. Bombardier Cobb deployed his detachment to Al-Assad and established the first ever Australian deployment to counter unmanned aerial systems. His ingenuity and personable nature allowed him to achieve outcomes beyond his rank and experience. Bombardier Cobb then returned to the Middle East immediately following this deployment to advise on the employment of the CUAS equipment on board Warramunga during its deployment. Bombardier Michael Richard Cobb. Your Excellency, the Australian Police Medal has been awarded to the following recipients. Constable Deborah Louise Gibson is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australia Police. Constable Gibson, a victim contact officer with the Major Crime Investigation Branch, provides outstanding, compassionate and tireless support for families of homicide victims. Widely respected for providing a guiding hand for people in circumstances of inconceivable grief, she assists people to navigate extraordinary, emotionally taxing and stressful situations, including some of the state's most high-profile cases. Constable Gibson's advocacy for victims and their families is recognised and highly respected at all levels of the justice system, including from outside agencies such as Victim Support Services, the Commissioner for Victims' Rights, and the Homicide Victims Support Group, where she has also been a long-term volunteer. The Major Crime Investigations Branch has received numerous commendations for investigations in which Constable Gibson played a significant role. Joining the SA Police in 1990, she began her career as a uniformed patrol officer. Then her passion for horses saw her posted to the mounted cadre on 3 occasions, where she became highly regarded in the equestrian movement. Constable Deborah Louise Gibson. Superintendent Paul William Roberts is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australia Police. A police officer with more than 36 years' service, Superintendent Roberts is held in high esteem by Aboriginal communities across South Australia and continues to be a trusted advisor on Aboriginal culture and relationships. He progressed from regional policing roles to becoming the Aboriginal Aid Supervisor at a marked police station on the APY lands from 1994 to 1997, where he gained community trust. He was instrumental in leading SAPOL's inaugural Cultural Awareness Training Program before undertaking regional leadership roles and then moving to Adelaide, serving at various senior levels. As State Aboriginal Communities Coordinator for 2 years, he coordinated and implemented the SAPOL response to recommendations arising from government inquiries focused on child abuse intervention and social justice. His work saw the establishment of 3 new police stations and the recruitment of 25 staff, including specialist child abuse and domestic violence investigators for the APY lands. Promoted to Superintendent and Officer in Charge, Far North Local Service Area in 2016, he played a key leadership role in establishing the Remote and Vulnerable Communities Zone Emergency Management Group to assist in keeping local communities safe from COVID-19. Superintendent Paul William Roberts. Senior Sergeant First Class Grant Francis Watterson is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australia Police. Senior Sergeant First Class Watterson has served the Prosecution Services Branch of SAPOL with distinction for 33 years. An accomplished and professional prosecutor, he is widely respected for his experience, leadership, and long-standing commitment to the criminal justice system. In consultation with local magistrates, he has developed local business practices and procedures to ensure the efficient and effective running of the courts which he oversees, including the Diversion Court, the Nunga Court, or Aboriginal Sentencing Court, the Family Violence Court, and the Youth Court. Known for his integrity, strong work ethic, high standards, and professionalism, he is an outstanding leader and strong mentor to prosecutors, not only as manager of Port Adelaide Prosecution, but across Prosecution Services branch. Senior Sergeant First Class Watterson has also been instrumental in driving and enhancing cooperation and information sharing amongst agencies. Senior Sergeant First Class Grant Francis Watterson. Your Excellency, the Medal in the Order of Australia in the Military Division has been awarded to the following recipient. Warrant Officer Graeme John Gibney is recognised for meritorious performance of duty as a senior enlisted leader in the Australian Defence Force. The hallmark of Warrant Officer Gibney's career has been his selfless devotion to duty, to which he applies exceptional technical skill, expertise, and leadership. During his extended service, Warrant Officer Gibney has contributed both to Australia's national security and to the leadership and care of defence personnel. He has demonstrated outstanding personal character, judgment, and commitment as he supports defence members through periods of personal crisis and complexity. With more than 40 years' service, Warrant Officer Gibney's defence career has seen him excel in Navy, joint and coalition postings in both specialist category and senior enlisted roles. He has worked as an instructor at the Joint Telecommunications School, where he was commended for exemplary standards of leadership and professionalism. As an alcohol and other drugs coordinator, Warrant Officer Gibney applied his personal management and welfare support skills for the betterment of ADF personnel. And during his time as school warrant officer at the Defence Force School of Languages, he mentored ADF members across all ranks. Warrant Officer Graeme John Gibney. Your Excellency, the Conspicuous Service Medal has been awarded to the following recipient. Warrant Officer Class 1 Christopher Barry McCulloch is recognised for meritorious achievement as the Artificer Sergeant Major of the 3rd Combat Signal Regiment. Warrant Officer Class 1 McCulloch's meritorious performance and outstanding leadership have resulted in vast capability improvements in Army's medium and heavy vehicle fleets. His efforts in leading, designing, producing and implementing engineering changes yielded force-wide benefits, and his dedication to inculcating a culture of innovation in the technical workforce at the 3rd Combat Signal Regiment have been exemplary. A proud mentor and example to young soldiers, he is widely regarded for an enthusiastic approach towards supporting his soldiers and his chain of command. Warrant Officer Class 1 McCulloch's efforts are of the highest order and in keeping with the finest traditions of the Australian Army. Warrant Officer Class 1, Christopher Barry McCulloch. Your Excellency, that concludes the presentations for this morning.
Thank you, Official Secretary. And look, I'm sure everyone will agree. Some of what we heard is quite technical. I know from my previous role as a diplomat and as someone who knew a little bit about foreign affairs, just how significant the achievements that we've been recognising today are, not just in the workplaces, but at the national level. And if we could all please join and congratulate everyone who's received awards today, and then we'll go and celebrate as is appropriate in this slightly subdued way during this morning period. Thank you, everyone.